Mac wants the flamethrower.
Mac wants the what?
That's what he said, now move!
Then maybe, just maybe, they'd survive longer than the opening credits. We have all been there. You're watching a horror movie, and a character hears a strange noise from the basement.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
So, of course, they go check it out. Alone, at night, without a weapon. And we all know how that ends. Basically, horror cinema has built an entire legacy on characters making awfully bad decisions. But then, the Thing enters the scene, throws the overused script out of the window, and says, what if everyone wasn't a total idiot? John Carpenter's The Thing is that rare horror film, or maybe a psychological horror film, where the characters aren't just blood-soaked pawns in a chess match. They are actual human beings with thought processes, suspicion, fear, and a refreshing lack of suicidal curiosity. But the plot twist is that no matter how smart they are, the creature is always one step ahead of them. And that's what makes the movie absolutely terrifying. Not because we are watching irrational people making stupidly dangerous choices, but because even smart, rational people can barely survive. It makes you feel like if you were in the same situation, you would make the same choices. But would those choices save us? At its core, The Thing isn't about the monster that only appears once or twice in the film. It's about paranoia. John knew that the scariest creature in a room isn't necessarily the one with claws and tentacles. It's the one you trust. It can be sitting right next to you, pretending to be your friend while quietly plotting your assimilation. The alien isn't on screen much, thankfully, because its gelatinous body-hijacking form is truly awful. It gives you the creeps. But the real terror isn't in its appearance, it lives in the interactions. The movie doesn't feature the usual scream and run affair. It follows trained professionals stationed in the Arctic, and they actually do what most horror protagonists don't. They assess, adapt, and act. When people start dying, they don't shrug and go to bed crying. They argue, they lock doors, they accuse. Basically, they use their brains. They don't go rogue in trying to fight the unknown. Instead, the group focuses on learning its nature and its weaknesses first, and forms strategies to save themselves. Each character has their own unique role, but Kurt Russell's MacReady is the most reasonable one. He is the reluctant hero with a flamethrower and a head full of distrust. He isn't some action movie caricature. He is a one-man army. And quite literally so, because he lives alone outside the compound, where the rest of the group lives. That distance, both physical and emotional, makes him the closest thing to an objective observer. So naturally, the others choose him to lead. In a setting where anyone could be the Thing, leadership is less about charisma and more about who seems least likely to kill you in your sleep. And here's where the film gets even better. During filming, John made a bold choice. He didn't even tell the actors which of them were infected in advance. That's right, the cast didn't know. Meaning each actor had to play their role without knowing if they were still human or a perfect imitation of one. Did it work? Absolutely. Because it made their performances feel real. The actors were just as unsure as their characters. So all the nervous glances, hesitation, quiet tension, and suspicion. It wasn't just acting, it was genuine confusion and second-guessing. The paranoia we see on screen? Yeah, they were feeling it too. One actor interpreted his character as unconsciously aware of being infected. Another played his part with subtle withdrawal. These decisions weren't coordinated. They came from instinct, and that's what made it feel so authentic. This also set the movie apart from all other films of the genre. In most horror films, characters do dumb things because the plot needs them to. Imagine if Georgie hadn't chased a mere paper boat down a storm drain. He would have been fine. But then Pennywise the clown would still be underground, and It, the horror classic, would have been over in 5 minutes.
Hiya, Georgie. What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
Yes, please.
So, yeah, horror film characters ignoring the warnings is what sets the stage for the ultimate plot. But in The Thing, everyone behaves logically, yet no one is safe. And that is the plot. John's choice added layers of psychology that you almost never see in horror. Each character becomes a mystery, not just to others, but to themselves. And the audience? We're stuck guessing right along with them. This brings us to the critics, the I'd rather not say it. But yes, you know the critics. Some of them famously scoffed at the film's ambiguity. Roger Ebert criticized the characters for wandering off alone and grinning suspiciously. Well, that's kind of the point, Roger. If we knew who the alien was, the movie would lose all its tension. I mean, there's no suspense in watching a blood test if you already know who's guilty. The entire film functions because we don't know anything, just like the characters. That's why The Thing is so effective. It puts us in the same mind space as the crew, suspicious, exhausted, cold, and completely unsure who to trust. Whether the characters split up or huddle together, the danger remains. Stay in a group and risk being next to the monster. Go alone and become an easy target. Both choices make sense. Both could get you killed. So, good luck. And just when you think you have found your footing, the creature gets smarter. It absorbs knowledge along with its victims. So the longer it is around, the more strategic it becomes. Meanwhile, the crew slowly starts to unravel. The sleep deprivation, the pressure gets to them, and they crack. And by the end, you are not even sure if the real monster is the creature or the humans themselves. The film plays with the audience's mind just as much as the characters. It makes you question everything you see. Every glance, every word, every small action might mean someone is already dead, or worse, already replaced. The fear is not just about the monster outside, it's about the monster inside the group, and maybe inside yourself. Can you trust what you see? Can you trust yourself? And then there's the ending. It doesn't wrap up neatly. Everything doesn't magically go back to being normal. It leaves you hanging, unsure if the last survivors are humans or if the alien has won. This open ending drove some crazy, but it is exactly why the film sticks with you. It leaves the paranoia alive even after the credits roll. This brings us to one conclusion: that more than a horror movie, The Thing is a psychological thriller. Sure, the creature is creepy, but its appearance alone isn't what makes it terrifying. What really gets under your skin is how it plays with your mind. The fear that it could be inside you, or right beside you. And by the time you figure it out, it might already be too late. In better words, it is about the fear of the unknown, the fear of betrayal. It's about isolation, mistrust, and the breakdown of community. These themes have influenced countless films since. It has helped shift the genre towards smarter and more thoughtful horror. the kind that gives you the chills rather than giving you jump scares. But here's the thing about films that try to break the mold. They either become blockbusters or are misunderstood by the audience. Unfortunately, The Thing fell into the latter category. Despite the brilliant execution and direction, its release didn't go well. Or maybe it didn't find the right audience. Some even believe that it was released at the wrong time. Why? Because just 2 weeks before The Thing, E.T. the Extraterrestrial was released. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, and it showed a kind, lovable alien who wanted to phone home and be friends with humans. It was heartwarming, hopeful, and perfect for families. Audiences loved it, and it became a huge box office hit. Then came The Thing. And we all know what it is about. It featured a violent, shape-shifting alien that caused fear, mistrust, and ultimately death. It was bleak and hopeless, exactly the opposite of what audiences had just fallen in love with. The result? People rejected the dark tone of The Thing. The critics, as we already discussed, were pretty harsh too. Hence, the film flopped. But once the feel-good glow of E.T. faded and people gave The Thing a second look, they began to appreciate it for what it truly was. Today, it is considered a science fiction horror masterpiece. Some even believe that it was ahead of its time, and we totally agree. Anyway, that was it for today's video. Hope you liked it. Which horror movie creatures are your absolute favorites? You know, the ones that haunt your nightmares. Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel, and we will catch you in the next one.